welcome to episode 7 of the All Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Bowen, and as always, I'm joined by Daniel.
How's it going, guys?
Marco.
What's up, guys? How are you doing?
And Abdul.
What's up?
Alrighty, so we got some big news last week that the NBA is officially back. July 31st, of course, but we got a lot more information on what the rest of the season is going to entail. Shams on The Athletic gave a good rundown in a couple of his pieces. So it's going to be a 22-team return starting July 31st. The 16 playoff teams plus additional teams: New Orleans, Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, San Antonio, and Washington. Some other information: they plan to play 2 to 3 exhibition games before the regular season. Coronavirus testing every day. Every player has to stay within the bubble at Walt Disney World in Orlando. And the last possible day of the season is October 15th for a potential Game 7. And 8 regular season games, and then a potential play-in between the 9th seed and the 8th seed if the 8 and 9 seeds are 4 games apart, which right now, currently, there is happening. But, I mean, with the 8 regular season games, some things can change. And that is kind of the gist of it. There's still some more information to be hashed up between the NBA Players Association and the league, including when next season. But I guess we'll just hop into quick thoughts and reactions of this. Abdul, why don't you start?
I was hoping the NBA wasn't making it too easy for the 6 teams aside from the playoff that are outside of the playoff picture, but I love the way it's set up as far as they're trying to make sure that there's testing all the time and whatnot, but also the idea behind what it takes for there to be a play-in. I was hoping it wouldn't be just 6 teams trying to play in for the 8th, not all 6, but at least a couple of them. I think it still keeps it competitive, but it gives certain teams a chance to be able to still make it into the playoffs, which is nice. And it's them also being able to play on the excitement from what we hoped for this year before everything got put off by the pandemic. So I like the way they continued it, and it provides more excitement for everybody and more to look forward to. Also harder to predict a little bit, but it works itself out.
Daniel?
Yeah, so I like the setup. I like that teams are going to get 8 games before playoffs. Because, comparing to the NHL, it's kind of they get back and they're going to be playing really important games pretty soon, which I don't think is the best idea. This way, all the teams get a chance to warm up and get their groove back so that we see the playoffs we deserve, I guess. One thing I don't like is that they didn't put the conferences together. So in this case, you have a bunch of teams that have the chance to finish 9th in the West, but only one of them will only one team out of all the teams that have a chance are going to have the chance of playing the 8th seed, which is probably going to be Memphis. And I just think that that's kind of lame. Portland could finish half a game back of Memphis, and Pelicans could finish 1 game back. And it's oh, too bad, Pelicans. Even though you're right there, even though you meet the threshold, you're not going to be a part of the play-in. So I don't know why they didn't do maybe give a 7 and 8 versus 9 and 10, because then you're inviting all these teams just for the chance to play in a series. Only one team gets a chance, and you're inviting all these teams. And on the East side, I mean, you have Washington, and they're 6 games back. It's just kind of, I don't love how that's organized, and it's also weird to have all these Western Conference teams and then one Eastern Conference team. That it feels like It feels like they extended it to 22 teams just so they could include Washington
Yeah,
instead of doing 20 teams, which were the only teams that were actually like in playoff contention, right?
yeah, that's true. And then you kind of have this confusing sense of like, I know Zach Lowe mentioned this. Memphis has played 65 games, Portland's played 66, Spurs have played 63, but they're all playing 8. So you can have like examples where they have the same amount of wins, but because you played more games before this all happened, they have more losses, and as a result, you're not going to get into the playoffs. So that was kind of confusing. And then the fact that the schedule is going to continue, but if you play someone that are not in the 22 teams, it's going to get passed over to the next one. So you're looking at some of these schedules, and like they're really, really difficult for a lot of the teams, and it's just kind of, I guess, random in that sense. Um, Marco, what do you think?
Like, I mean, I think it's a fair way. I think there was no like way you could just finish it unless you got all the games until the end, and you could say like it was fair for everybody. But it's what everyone has been saying. Like the guys who are playing for the AFC, they're not gonna get past the Lakers or the Bucks on the other side. That's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like Portland voted no for the new format, but like they had a very bad season. So now you're in this position because you didn't have a good season. You had your two best players in the majority of the games. But my take is I think the NBA was very conservative. I think they are flirting with this no conference thing for a while now. They could have done it this year. It's already a year with a big asterisk, whoever wins the championship. So let's just break it up. We're going to have some very nice matchups, like maybe Lakers and Clippers in the finals, Celtics and Clippers, like in the second round, I think would be a possibility. That would be a great series. I don't know. I think it was fair. I think it's okay. I like the format, but they could have gone more crazy about it. They could have put down a conference. And my biggest question is, what are you going to do with the home court advantage?
Yeah, there is none.
So, yeah, I agree with you, Marco. Like, I don't know why they just didn't put the conferences together. And I think like if you instead had a playoff, the 15th and 16th seed played the 17th and 18th, that would be way more exciting. And if you had a little play-in tournament that way, or even made it bigger. But in terms of the home court advantage, I've heard about the potential for the home team to inbound the ball to start every quarter. So they get an extra possession every quarter. I actually don't mind that because games can come down to that, to an extra possession or whatever.
I think that is fair.
It's a better idea than the story about teams being able to bring their hardwood from their home arena.
I think the team that most benefits from that is maybe the Clippers if they take the Lakers, because you could argue that the Lakers would have like 7 home games against the Clippers in the series, and now they have none. So that's something to look for. But they had some more options. Like the craziest one was the team with the highest seed can choose whoever they want in the first round. That was
I hated
street
that
ball.
idea.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. But there was another one that I like, and now I'm not remembering. But there were like four or 5 options. I think they're still studying that. But that should be something, right?
Why don't you like that idea, Abdul?
It's
street ball.
I don't know. Like it's. I feel like it would be interesting as far as like the lesser team being like, oh, like this is kind of like, oh, this is how like they perceive us, like they're just trying to pick on us. Like in that case it would be interesting, but like I just think I always like the format of like teams not being able to pick who they want to play, like in terms of like you kind of get what you get and like you need to make it work.
It'll make it a big television spectacle too, though. Like you could have a big prime time half an hour show on ESPN where the teams pick each other, and then you can have this extra added motivation for the losing teams. And I mean, you did kind of see teams picking who they were playing like the last couple of years when they would like purposely tank, like play the G League guys 40 minutes just so you could fall to the 5th seed, so you play this team who you play better. But yeah, there's a lot of definitely crazy ideas floating around. I agree with you though, Daniel. Like Phoenix, 6 games back. Washington, 6 games back. Let's say you play 2 games, you lose them both. All right, what was the point? You know, you came back and do all this for realistically nothing.
I think Phoenix, like, it's almost like mathematically impossible for them to be the 9th seed.
Yeah.
Because not only are they 6 games back, but they'd have to finish ahead of all the other teams that are like right there.
Yeah.
So all of those teams would have to lose, and they would have to win.
Because
Memphis would have to lose. Like,
there are 3 teams that are like 3.5 games back. I think it's Portland.
and
4 teams, no?
No,
San Antonio's 4
San
games
Antonio's
back.
4
Okay.
games. But then it was Portland, Sacramento, and
New Orleans.
there we go. But like, even with Phoenix being like 2.5 games back, like I agree with you as far as it not being like really favorable for them, because those teams are all better than Phoenix. Like Phoenix has been really like up and down this year. Like they've had like not too many ups, more downs of course, but like they've had like their slight ups where they've made games competitive, but I don't see how they push out a Portland or they push out a New Orleans, like at best maybe the Kings. But between New Orleans and Portland, I don't see any of the teams passing them up for 9th.
Yeah, I definitely see a play-in in the West, though. I think Memphis is going to play someone.
Yeah.
And that'll make it exciting.
For sure.
And I do like the double elimination aspect of if you're the 9 seed, you have to beat them twice. That's fair, you know.
Yeah.
Especially since they're not like a half game or like a game apart from each other. You're sitting with the 3.5 game cushion. It's fair. So that'll, I think, be the most exciting part is who out of New Orleans, Sacramento, Portland, and San Antonio will play Memphis. I think the league wants New Orleans for obvious reasons. Right, but
Run and die in the first round.
Probably
Right
why they kept it East and West instead of combining it all too.
yeah, no, I agree. And then there are some like good, interesting battles, right, for positioning. I mean, I know home court doesn't matter, but I mean, who you play in the first round, it matters if it's, you know, teams like the Clippers, because yeah, between Denver and Houston, they're all separated by like 2 games, give or take. So there's tons of movement to be had there. As well as in the Eastern Conference, there's a little bit of shuffling. Like Indiana and Philly have the same record, and the lesser that record is going to have to play Boston, right? So that's really important for Philadelphia. And we also heard news that Kyrie will not be playing and KD will not be playing for Brooklyn. So, you know, Brooklyn's kind of, man, I don't really understand Kyrie's perspective on it. He said he might come to sit as an inactive player on the bench to cheer on the team. It's kind of like, wouldn't you come regardless because that's your team?
I guess he said it due to the pandemic and like what people will think of it in that sense. But aside from that, I
wonder.
Like they're all gonna be housed there anyways.
Like, for players who are injured, like, are they going to go? I mean,
But you guys think there's like no possibility that they're going to play?
No, I thought they were going to play. There's a chance, especially with Kyrie.
Like KD is going to be like 14 months away from the surgery. That's enough time for you to be ready, you know.
he said he's not playing though. So
Yeah, I heard it, but like I don't trust anything Kyrie and KD say, so maybe they are.
I think they're trying to psych teams out. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And I'm gonna be really honest. If they come back and they are Kyrie and KD, they are healthy and they are good, I think Toronto's going away in the first round.
I mean, I can see it.
7 games, tough series, and the Nets losing the next one because they're going to be gassed up. But they might go away in the first round. But like gotta be KZ and Kyrie, not like shells of themselves. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
They
think
haven't
they're ready
played
yet.
together
but-
either. They didn't get a. I don't know. The only training camp they'll get would be the one starting this month.
Yeah,
They'd only
obviously,
get 8 regular season games to actually mesh. And Toronto's going to be healthy.
but I mean, Toronto
That would be
before
interesting.
Kawhi, they used to lose to LeBron James and a bunch of nobodies. Like Nets are a little bit better.
This is
I know
also
you guys-
this is still
I
a
know you're
better
all
Toronto
Canadians
team
and
than those
stuff, but
teams.
you has to be sad, right?
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn's been a weird. It's been a weird year for them, anyways. I mean, they fired Kenny Atkinson. Spencer Dinwiddie's trying to crowdfund his next contract. Like, who knows what could happen, right? But no, you made a good point about Toronto being healthy. All these teams will be healthy. I mean, besides Utah losing Bogdanovich, I'm pretty sure every other team who lost players in March are going to be healthy by the time training camp comes around. And they play 2 to 3 exhibition games too. So it's not like you're jumping right into the regular season games. You'll have a couple games to get your footing. And it's kind of like a start of a new season based on how long this wait has been, right? So everyone will be back at around the same pace, which is interesting in Portland's case because they're getting back Zach Collins and Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah.
So that's, that could play a little bit of a role. But yeah. Any other comments on the upcoming season? I know we'll have tons and tons of time to talk about it because it's not for about a month and a half.
At least, right?
Yeah. If not, we'll do some all rookie teams. First off, I thought this was wild. So far this season, there have been a total of 115 rookies who've played a minute in the NBA, which I know a lot of people think like,
That's
oh,
not much.
60 players get drafted, not all of them play, a lot of them go to the Europe, so like it's so hard to make it. But 115 rookies, I mean that's
That's a lot.
yeah,
It's almost double the amount of guys who get drafted.
yeah, and I mean that's just a product, I think, of the good development system of the G League now and the two-way contracts and being able to pick people up and down. So I think 3 players are locks on our first team all rookie. I hope so. John Morant, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Clark were like, inarguable locks to me. Do you guys have the same?
Yeah.
Yeah,
With none,
I'd add Kendrick Nunn to that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with none as well. So it's 4 guys already.
Yep. All right, so we'll get into our 5th player. I had Eric Pascal, 14 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 27 minutes. Not a great 3-point shooter on 28%, but he's been having a lot of usage on the Warriors. He's fit in nicely. I mean, it's been a terrible team, but I don't think many expected him to be this much of an offensive threat on the Warriors and to be counted on this much. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in next year with, Steph and Clay. But I thought he had a good enough year to be warranted on the first team. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, so I was debating between Pascal and Tyler Hero.
Ooh.
I went with Tyler Hero. So Pascal's my first guy on the second team. But I guess in this case, I know Hero's like efficiency isn't the greatest, except he's shooting very well from 3.
Yeah.
I kind of gave it to a guy who's contributing to a winning team in this case. Pascal, the Warriors don't have anyone to go to, so it helps his numbers. That being said, he's still playing very well. He's not a very great defender though, so I don't know. I could have gone either way, but I kind of did this through my whole rookie teams, rewarded guys who are contributing on teams that are winning instead of just numbers.
Yeah, I'll double down on that. And I like Tyler Hero mentality a lot. He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with him first team.
Abdul?
So here is also my last one.
Ooh, okay.
I know that like obviously he's a rookie, he has ups and downs, but like I think he's had some big moments for the Heat, and for him to be contributing on such a like the Heat are pretty stacked. It's not like they have like three superstars on that team. Like it's two all-stars, one who went from being a bench player last year to an all-star this year, and then Jimmy Butler. And I think his contributions, even just as a threat to be able to shoot the ball, have been like really impactful for the Heat. And so yeah, he's my pick.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything but shoot, like 1.9 assists per game, but 39% from three. I mean, as a rookie, yeah, and
He
And he earned
handles the
that
ball
bench,
too
right?
sometimes. Yeah.
And that percentage and the way he takes threes too. It's not just waiting, standing in a corner waiting for a pass, right?
yeah,
Like
off the
transition, it's ballsy, game winners, all that.
yeah, no, 100%. I had him, yeah, leading off my second team. He, you know, um, then I also had Kobe White as another lock on my second team. So in his last 9 games, he's coming off the bench. He's shooting 43.2% from three, 48% from the field, and 26 points a game and 4.5 assists in 34 minutes. So he
Yeah.
was having his little breakout mini close to the year. I mean, he's the only other player on the Bulls besides Zach LaVine who can actually create offense for himself, which is important when all you have is Zach LaVine creating offense and in a terrible, terrible Jim Boylan system. Overall, through his shooting throughout the whole year, he's been all right. I mean, not very efficient, 35% from three, 39% from the field. He's definitely a chucker, but I think that'll come with time just to be able to control more of the offense and getting more people involved. But yeah, he was my other lock was Tyler Hero and Kobe White. We can get into a couple of yours, Marco.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kobe White as well. I think he's very stylish. I think you gotta look at those things in the rookies, like the ones that stand out, not only playing but outside of it. So I like him a lot. I'm gonna go Terrence Davis as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. And Eric Pascal, as we have said before. And I'm going with PJ Washington and Denver, like the guy that we have been waiting for like 3 years, the Michael Porter Jr.
It's the second year.
But I mean, I was gonna have Ben Simmons in it, but I think like not again,
Oh
right?
my god. Oh. Oh man, Marco.
Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, right?
I agree with you, Marco. Though I had PJ Washington, Terrence Davis, and Michael Porter Jr. closing up my second team. Washington had a very good year, really good 3-point shooter. Averaging 30 minutes a game, 12 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 45% field goals. Yeah, he's just been a solid rookie. Hasn't been flashy at all, but I mean, stats kind of back it up. Terrence Davis, he doesn't average a lot of points, and he hasn't played a lot of minutes, but I guess we might have this kind of slight Toronto bias because we're all living around the area, and we kind of see him more than the average fan would. But I think what he's done this year on such a good team and filling in for all the injuries that the Raptors had, he deserves to be on the team. And Michael Porter Jr. as well. He's been great. Only 7.5 points a game, but 42% from three, 57% effective field goal. And he's been playing 14 minutes a game. So, again, not a lot of minutes, but compared to the rest of the rookie crop, which hasn't been overly amazing, he was on my second team. How about you, Daniel?
So, yeah, I had Terrence Davis too, and Michael Porter Jr. In this case, it's, as I said before, like it's rewarding guys who are actual plus players on winning teams. It's not just guys who are on bad teams and putting up numbers. Their numbers aren't that outstanding, as you said, but they haven't played that many minutes, and for the minutes they've played, they've been really good. So I don't know, like there's definitely a bit of bias, as you said, but I think when a guy is coming off the bench and being huge for a team instead of just being given a high usage like RJ Barrett or Kobe White. I think that's important to consider. So I snubbed Kobe White.
Ooh, wow.
I had PJ Washington as well, and then my last spot is Hachimura. So between Hachimura, Barrett, and Kobe White, it was kind of like, here are guys who are all on bad teams who are putting up some decent numbers. I just thought Hachimura's efficient player, and whereas RJ Barrett and Kobe White are very inefficient, and that gave him the edge for me.
Interesting.
Okay, so I do not have MPJ on mine. Felt like his sample size was, I don't know. Okay, for me, I have Barrett in mind, but that's because I felt like there were points where like he started to improve. He was also playing in a weird like New York system where like they had a bunch of guys where it didn't really mesh well, and that it was a very like it wasn't idealistic for a rookie, especially for a third overall pick, where you sign Julius Randle to a big deal, you bring in Marcus Morris for no reason. Like there's like a lot going on, but like he kind of felt like for that type of a situation and like how much he had to improve. I know he was great in college and high school, but like he's not your polished player either. Like he won a lot off of his like natural talent and like his size and his athletic ability more than anything. But I felt like he improved like as the season went on a bit, and he was still decent. Kobe White is in mine as well. I know he had his up and down moments, but for being as highly touted a player as he was, I don't know if some people would have said, Satoransky should start over him or would start, but like Boylan kind of had him come off the bench, and that kind of worked as far as him being able to develop himself. I have PJ Washington as well, and I have Eric Pascal. I know Pascal kind of fell off a bit towards the end, but like he had a really, really good start to the year. Washington, you guys hit it on the head as far as everything he's capable of doing, and being able to be a starter on a Charlotte team that's kind of like really young, but at the same time showing their potential a little bit. And then Terrence Davis is on mine as well. I think for me, it's like the credit. Like I'll give him credit for. We've spoken about this in past episodes with all the injuries that Toronto's dealt with this year, and they haven't really gone the route of like, let me sign a vet here, let me sign a vet there. They kind of trusted their system and their development, and the guys they're developing. And Davis is one of those guys, and he came up big for them, averaging. He was a little more than 12 points a game in the month or so that he played all those minutes. So he's on my second team as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Barrett, White, Hachimura were all similar. Yeah, it's kind of difficult.
I mean, like for Barrett,
I thought
New
he's
York,
tied.
they should have like some points, right? He just sucks out everything you have.
Yeah. I also thought about Matisse Thybulle, but he didn't play enough games really, and he only averaged 4.5 points. But he's a phenomenal defensive player. DeAndre Hunter had an okay year. Thought about him. Darius Garland, decent stats. Then like some other underrated guys, like Lou Dort had a good kind of finish to his year because he's starts for that Oklahoma City team. Being guy too. Sacco Dumbuya kind of ending to his year. Naz Reid has played a little well. Cam Johnson's played a little better too, but I think we're all in the same boat of the same 12, 13 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, like my snubs were Kobe White and RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
And I thought about Matisse Thybulle, but
So did I.
Yeah, 4.7 points a game. It's kind of not really can't really put him on a second team all rookie, right? All right, moving on to our all defensive team. Again, I think 3 players on our first all defense should be locks. Giannis, AD, and Rudy Gobert. Everyone else have that?
Yeah.
Sorry, who was the third? I couldn't listen.
Rudy Gobert.
3 bigs?
I had Giannis, AD, and Gobert. So 2 bigs. Giannis.
2 forwards and a big.
Yeah,
But it doesn't matter really, does it?
not really, So who do you guys have then as your other 2 players on the first team?
I had Simmons and Smart. I think
Okay.
I had Smart as well.
Yeah,
Smart
I
is.
have Simmons, but I thought about having Smart. But since he hasn't started many games, I have like something about it. So let me go with old faithful Patrick Beverly, and Smart is in my second team then.
Interesting. For me, Simmons, I think he improved. He definitely improved on the defensive end. He's always had the ability, but I think he actually put it together this year. See how much like he wants to and like looks for the challenge of guarding like other teams like top players on the perimeter, and he's come up big in certain moments for them as well. I know Tybull gets a lot of credit on that team, and so does Embiid for his post presence. But Simmons has been that guy for them on the perimeter. It makes them tougher to play. Like his size, his agility, his quickness, and all. Like he's a hard guy to get past for a lot of guys. So, and he also creates turnovers.
Yeah, he's third in steal percentage and first in steals per game. I had him also on my first team. I also had Chris Dunn on my first team. Initially, I was having him on his second, but I looked at his stats. He leads the league in steal percentage, second in defensive box plus minus, and second in steals per game. And I mean, watching like the eye test on Chris Dunn is like, once you see him out there on defense, you know that he's just an absolute menace. Especially like probably one of, if not the best, 101 guard defenders in the league. I think you can make a case for him or Patrick Beverly. But I kind of just gave the edge to Chris Dunn based on stats this year.
Beverly just missed too many games for me.
Yeah, he did.
Do you guys think Beverly's like antics take away from some of his defensive abilities?
I think that's a plus.
Yeah, I'd say it adds to it.
That's a plus.
In a sense? Do you think it hinders the team?
No, I think it gives
No.
them energy. They're also that kind of team. Like it's not
Yeah.
just him on that team as well. Like Harrell is that type of guy as well off the bench for them too.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so I had Giannis, AD, Gobert, Simmons, and Dunn on my first team. And you guys had Smart and Beverly in lieu of some of those players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So second team, I had Beverly, Smart. I had Eric Bledsoe as well, Kawhi Leonard, and Brook Lopez. Now, Brook Lopez was interesting. I always thought of him as like this slow, prodding big man who didn't really get much on the defensive end, but he's kind of transformed himself. He's second in the league in blocks, second in defensive rating, fourth in defensive win shares, third in defensive box plus minus. Obviously, I mean, you're on the Bucks, you're going to have a high defensive rating. I think Dante DiVincenzo was like second in a lot of these stats as well, which no one's really looking at him as like the number one defensive player.
I thought about
you what?
I thought about having him in like Vincenzo, but the Bulls are so bad in defense, so like he gotta matter, right?
No, Dante DiVincenzo on the
Yeah.
Bucks.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh. Yeah, I just thought Lopez, he's just kind of the last line of defense on that team. And he's done very well. So I gave him the second team center look, essentially. Did you guys have similar players?
Mine is a little different.
Okay.
You want to go full or just forwards for now?
Just run them all out.
All right. So I got Dunn. I got. I actually. Okay, let me start. Let me start from big and go down. So I got Bam at big.
Okay.
I got Tatum. I got Kawhi. I got Lowry. Dunn and Bledsoe was a toss up to me. It was hard for me. I was like really debating it. I think based off minutes played and impact, I might have to go Bledsoe. I think it makes a difference. I know stats can help us as far as like seeking out certain things,
Yeah.
but Bledsoe's a full-time starter for the Bucks. He plays a lot. He doesn't really miss much games either. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to give the nod to Bledsoe on this one actually. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with those five on my second team.
So Jason Tatum, I'm intrigued by that selection.
I think I know he gets a lot of credit for his offensive play, but I think he's actually like really important for them defensively. They don't really like they're weak at the five spot, and they don't have a traditional four that plays a lot of minutes for them.
Mm-hmm.
So he is that guy for them pretty much, and I think it was like with his length and his height and all like there are certain there are different things that kind of support it, but like on a Boston team that's done really well this year and they've been really good defensively too. I think aside from his offensive, like what he's done offensively, he's also been really good for them defensively as well.
I'm a double down Tatum, and my team is actually Smart, Tatum, Bam, Brook Lopez, and Dunn. But the thing with Tatum is like this, as I always say, he played 4 times against the LA teams this year. He got a LeBron and Kawhi the 4 times, and he outplayed them the 4 times. So that gotta mean something. You know, he's defending the best players in the league, and he's doing a great job. He's not better than them, obviously, but he can elevate himself to that point. And he's like a guy who can guard like from like the 1 to the 4 position. So I have him too. Celtics defense is like 5 points better with him on the court.
Hmm. That's interesting. I mean, also the Celtics, though, they can kind of do this like approach of throwing Tatum at someone and then Brown at him the next time and keep
Yeah.
switching. And then you have Marcus Smart you can throw in the mix too. So I think this kind of wave of defenders. Maybe I didn't appreciate Tatum's defense as much because I was so focused on his offense. And I kind of took Jaylen Brown to be like more of the defensive stopper.
I don't blame you though, because like Tatum does so much offensively that like it's almost hard when like guys do that well on one side to like remember they could do both sometimes. Like if one guy's better, like he's obviously a better offensive player than defensive player, but like it can take shine away from guys as far as what they can do. So I don't blame you for that. I had to think about it myself, to be honest,
Yeah,
as I was
and
like
Brown,
writing it down. He made
and
it
Yeah.
Brown's
tough for
a
me.
20 point per game scorer as well. So like both Tatum and Brown, for me, they're like a young Paul George and Kawhi. You know, they can play
Ooh.
on
For sure.
both ends of the floor. You
Yeah.
know, I just think they might become like better in terms of chemistry because they have started playing together. So I think something very special Boston has right there. Not just because I like them, but I truly do.
No, it's an awesome tandem. And I thought about putting Tatum on the team, but ultimately he's a honorable mention. So is Chris Dunn. So like okay, statistically you're right, like you guys are right, he deserves to be on one of the teams. I guess it's a losing team bias here where I just felt like there were guys who could go ahead of him, guys who are on like whose teams are great defenses, so they deserve to go on. Pat Beverly, I put on. He did miss some games, but I still felt he deserves it for how he impacts the game when he's playing. I had OG Anunoby.
Right.
So someone from the Raptors has to be on the team. To me, like I think his defense is underrated. I mean, he's an exceptional perimeter defender, and I think the most important defender on the team. I mean, like there's definitely you could Kyle Lowry is huge, and so is Siakam, and Gasol even, but and Van Vliet for perimeter defense. But I think OG is their number one stopper, and he deserves the credit for the Raptors, and the advanced stats back him up as well. Then I had Kawhi, who I thought, for some reason I thought the Clippers defense was not great this year, but they must have had a slow start and then turned it around because they actually had a great year. And I thought Kawhi was kind of slacking this year just from the eye test. Then you look at his numbers and, he's not the best in the league, but he's right there. So
Can I jump in?
He has a switch.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, Kawhi, he can be the best defensive player in the league, but he missed 14 games because he didn't want to play basketball. That guy is not gonna be on my all-defensive team because it's load managing at 28 years old. No, get your ass there and play defense. Every game. That's why.
Yeah, well, I think he was good enough despite missing those games. He had 3.0 defensive win shares despite missing those games, right? And that's something you accumulate. So that alone, he would be way higher if he had played more. It's fair though.
Or maybe he would be way more tired, maybe hurt. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe he would have gotten injured, but either way, he deserves to be on the team. If that's how you feel, Marco, then if you're discounting for missing games, then how is Beverly on your first team? He's played less games.
I was waiting for you to finish so I could ask that question.
No, but my thing is, you decide to take games off. That's the point,
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to play this game. It's load managing. That's the difference. You got hurt? Okay, sit. That's the point. By the way, I thought if we had a third team, I might have LeBron actually. LeBron was way better than the last few years, and I thought about it. Well, great, because he hasn't been playing defense since 2015, 16 on a very consistent basis. No, I'm not ranting on him. I'm just saying he decided to take some plays off, and this season he kind of came back, and the Lakers are doing a great job. So I thought about putting LeBron.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
he was an honorable mention for me.
Especially his defensive play last year, which was horrific because they're out of the playoffs, right? So when you see his defense now, you're like, oh my God, this is what everyone was waiting for.
Some guys just have switches.
Yeah. I totally forgot about OG Anunoby. He's on my second team. I would take off either Bledsoe or Smart, I think. Because that's an obvious decision. I don't know why that slipped my mind.
So my last two guys were Bam and Brook Lopez.
Okay.
So my big snubs were Chris Dunn, Eric Bledsoe, Jason Tatum.
So the Chris Dunn thing, I'm going to go back on. He's also so bad on the offensive end that maybe that's also an impact because all these other players, they have offensive abilities, right? But I think Dunn he's so good on the defense and such a negative on the offense that he might get overshadowed in that sense. And also he's on the terrible Bulls team. I'd like to see him. I think he's an unrestricted free agent this year. So I'd like to see him on more of a winning team and see what impact he makes. I could see him fit into that Beverly role on a team like the Clippers or have the Lakers sign him or even the Raptors or something.
Yeah, definitely. I think, for me, it was I'm man, he's had a really good year. And I was like, did I even see the Bulls play this year?
Yeah, that's true.
And when I did, it was
why are you watching?
I remember is Zach LaVine dribbling out the clock and taking a contested pull-up. So I don't know. I just didn't pick him for that reason. It's too bad because if he was on a good team, he'd definitely be on my second team at least.
They're probably one of the worst teams to watch, top 3 worst teams in the league to watch. Watching Chicago Bulls basketball is not an exciting thing to do on a Friday night.
Flex.
No, not at all. Any other snubs for you guys, or we kind of touch on all of them?
Lopez is a snub for me. Beverly is as well. Dunn, we already explained that one. I think. Oh yeah, I forgot about Anunoby when I was making these lists. So he's a snub of mine. Because I don't know how that one slipped my mind, to be honest. Now I don't know.
You
It's
gotta
hard
take
to really
Kyle.
take everyone off, though. I think if I wait, who?
Yeah, take Kyle off.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do
Three,
that.
four. Okay, I put Lowry on this list just because, I was trying to think of people who don't really get their due, which is funny because I missed Anunoby, but just hear me out. I was thinking of the guard spot. That's why. There's a bunch of really good defensive forwards in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the whole concept of like 3-and-D players and the type of premium they are. But for Lowry, I don't think he really gets the credit he deserves defensively, and especially considering the charges he takes. I know he's also undersized as well, not in terms of weight but height. But then he's really a key defender for the Raptors, along with Van Vliet. They're both undersized guards who don't really get their due defensively, but they really make it work. And Toronto's a top 3 defensive team in the league, and in a guards league like today's, someone has to get their due. So yeah, that's why he was on it.
Yeah, defending guards is much harder than defending bigs. We gotta give that to every defensive point guard because guys are more skilled. There are more screens. It's just tougher.
No,
Yeah,
100%.
and it's hard to guard both. If you can guard wings and guards,
Yeah.
Especially if you're a guard and you can do some of that. Lowry, people try to post him up all the time, and he's just not moving down there. He's built like a tank, right?
Yeah.
He's the size of an NFL safety.
He's bigger every year. Every time I look at Lowry, it's bigger.
Thicker, hey?
I find he always comes into the season slim, and then by the end of it, he's chubby again.
Which is crazy because the amount of calories he burns on the court every day, he must just be feasting after every game.
I feel like that's been a storyline a lot of years. It's he had this workout routine. He came in he's faster now. I feel like I've heard that 3 seasons.
Well, maybe he'll be slim heading into the season come July, and then by October in the finals, he'll be big again.
No, Chubby Lowry's immovable. He's not movable in the post. It works for him. He's made it work. I'll give him that. He's made it work for himself.
Bowen,
maybe it's the secret weapon.
You didn't have Bam.
No. I thought Brook Lopez, I gave 2 center spots, Gobert and Lopez. So, I like Bam on the defensive end. I thought his offensive kind of turn. He's been a great offensive player this year. That's kind of where I looked at him more so when I was making my most improved and all those kind of voting. But yeah, Brook Lopez just stood out to me as just this beast. But it could be that Milwaukee bias, right? You throw Lopez on in Indiana or even a worse team like New York, and I'm sure he wouldn't be that good of a defensive player.
Yeah, it's true. But I do think with Lopez, some people will argue that he is more important to their defense than Giannis.
Yeah.
I've heard that said just because he's
really
it's the rim.
The last line of defense,
yeah.
Interesting.
I think the Bucks. Yeah, it's hard to judge these Bucks players. Like you said, DiVincenzo. I thought about choosing him. But you're right. If you go to defensive win shares, I think the first 5 guys are Bucks players or one of these stats.
I think looking at minutes played also makes a difference too. As far as how long you're in the game can really determine the type of impact you have on the game in itself. If you're only playing 20 to 25 minutes, I'd rather put a guy on that team who plays 30 to 35, because the impact is just felt for a longer period of time.
And I am still scarred from Terry Rozier absolutely just cooking Bledsoe in the playoffs a couple of years ago. Just frying him alive.
That was beautiful.
Oh. So every time I look at Bledsoe as a defensive player, I'm like, yes, but Rozier cooked him in the playoffs.
It And
Gary
like, he blows it every playoffs, regardless. Doesn't matter who.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, his
yeah, there's
offense
definitely
disappears.
some bias there, like because you don't like he's one of those guys who have a great regular season, but you still don't think is that good
Yeah.
because of
Yep.
how he's played in the playoffs.
Might have to put Anunoby instead of Bledsoe then.
Yeah, Bledsoe is being kicked off all the teams now. Boom.
He wasn't in mine. I'm
Also,
never gonna put Bledsoe in anything. Sorry.
quick thing, LaMarcus Aldridge is out for the season.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he's having a procedure done in his right shoulder.
So I guess the Spurs aren't getting that 9th seed.
Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because now they can play more wings.
Now they can take threes.
Yeah.
DeRozan is not taking them.
Yeah, you can push DeRozan down. You can play more of your young guys. Yeah, Caperto could get more minutes. Interesting he decided to get his procedure now.
I don't know
Goes
what's
to show
the
too
choices
many
behind
teams.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, so count them out, I guess. All right. That'll I think wrap up 7th episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And we'll see you guys all next Monday.